Hello everyone, I Shilpa Bhandari working as Assistant Professor BBA Department with Tecnia Institute of Advanced Study. So in today's lecture, we'll be covering the topics of objective of sales management, skills and traits of sales manager, scope of sales management and the sales strategy. So let's start with our first topic, that is the objectives of sales management. Number one objective of sales management is sales maximization. So it is not easy to maximize sales due to the growing competition in the market. So most business fail because they are not able to sell what they are producing. So in order to maximize sales, a company must be able to understand the customers thoroughly and makes goods and services which they want at the right prices, times and the places. So this is the number one objective of the sales maximization. Our second objective is the profit maximization. Number two objective, so it is profit maximization. Sales maximization may not automatically lead to profit maximization. Therefore, a company has to improve its profitability rate by reducing the cost and increasing the efficiency of selling. Long-term profitability is essential for the ultimate success and survival of the business. Therefore, the cost profit maximization would be the ultimate objective of the sales management. Number three objective, that is the continuous growth. Sustained growth year after year is a very challenging and a rewarding task in today's eras. So like human beings, every product has a life cycle. It has to be replaced by better products or improved after some time period. Therefore, after some years, many of the firms, like most of the firms, struggle hard to grow and expand. A company to be a successful and to survive in the market should sustain a continuous growth. So here we are done with the objective of sales management. Next topic is the skills and the roles of the sales manager. So let's start with the roles of the sales manager. Let's first discuss about the roles of sales manager. So in today's era, a modern sales manager performs several tasks, some of which are as follows. Number one is the strategic role. A sales manager provides key inputs for developing long-term plans and the marketing plans as well of the company. The sales manager actively participates in sales forecasting, sales force management, developing sales strategies, implementing and controlling all the sales budgets and so on. So this was the number one strategic role. Next, number two role, that is the team member. A sales manager is a key member of the corporate teams, which seeks to achieve the objective such as the market share, sales growth, customer satisfaction and cutting the sales cost. So the team member is the ultimate member of the corporate team, right? So number three role played by a sales manager is the team leader. A sales manager serves as the leader of their sales force. He, being the team leader of the sales force, will be guiding, motivating and directing the efforts of the sales team. So he is the one who takes the accountability of his entire team for the further production and the efficiency, right? Number fourth role that has been played by the sales manager, that is the channel management. The sales manager would be responsible for multiplying the sales channels of the company. For an example, the company sales force, that is multiplying and increasing the company sales force, managing the company sales force, managing the telemarketing of the company or the online marketing, or we can say the online business, electronic business of the company. So the sales manager is responsible for managing the channels of the company. Channel management, that was the fourth role performed by the sales manager. Our next role is monitoring and controlling. It is a job of a sales manager to continually update the information and understanding the changes in the marketing environment of the company. So let's talk about the marketing environment. So be it the internal environment, be it the changes of the external environment, the sales manager has to get update with all the environmental changes which can affect the business of the company. So he has to play the role of monitoring and controlling the aspects which can affect the business ultimately. Our next role, the next role performed by the sales manager is the relationship building. Relationship between whom? Relationship between the buyer and the seller, that is the buyer and the sales manager. A sales manager is actually expected to build mutually satisfying buyer-seller relationship. Why? Because the seller is the one who is actually selling the products to the customer in exchange of the money, in return of the money. Buyer is actually getting that satisfaction by buying those products, by purchasing those products and services from the seller. This is why it ultimately causing the relationship building between the seller and buyer. It is expected, a sales manager is actually expected to build mutually satisfying buyer-selling relationship by using the latest technologies. So we are done with the roles of the sales manager. Let's now discuss about the skills of the sales manager. Number one skill, that is the human skill. What do you mean by the human skill? Human skill, a sales manager must possess the people skill. What do you mean by the people skill? People skill means he should be polite enough. This would include the ability to motivate, lead and coordinate effectively with the sales team. Therefore, a sales manager is required to have the human skills. Number two skill, that is the managing skill, management skills. In order to manage the sales force effectively and efficiently, the sales managerial skills, that is planning, organizing, controlling, directing, coordinating is required. A sales manager should possess the managing skills. He should be able to manage all the functions of the sales management very effectively. He should have decision making ability. He should take the decisions of his team members very effectively, because it would be ultimately, it would be ultimately affecting the business of the company. So this is why a sales manager, an effective sales manager, should have that managing skills. So now we are done with the human skills and managing skills. Let's now discuss about the technical skills which should be possessed by each and every effective sales manager. These are the skills to be performed specific tasks. What do you mean by the specific task? Specific tasks can be negotiating, selling, training. So these technical skills can include problem solving in the specific industry. So one should have the ability to use the information technology. Information technology usage is very important. So each and every sales manager, an effective sales manager rather I would say, should have that ability to use the information technology and correlate and relate it with the business of the company essentially. Let's now discuss about our next topic, that is scope of sales management. Scope. So scope of sales management is quite incomprehensive and it covers a lot of activities. For example, let's start with number one scope, sales planning and policies. Sales management does involve a lot of sales planning and the development and implementations of the policies. Next scope, that is sales forecasting. It requires at each and every level wherever the sales is required. Before pursuing ahead with the sales forecasting thing, the first step is to forecast the demands of that products and services in the market. So this is why sales forecasting is required. Number third scope, that is the sales budgeting. Every sales head in the department, every sales manager in the department requires to prepare the sales budget. He actually plans how much volume to be generated for the particular location, how much business volume to be generated in a particular locations, which set sales budgeting. And next scope, that is the designing of sales organization structure and its size. So it varies from company to company, it varies from organization to organization. Every sales organization have their own designing and structure, organization structure and its size. But as we all know that the sales is required in each and every organization, be it micro, be it small, be it medium or large. So every organization has its own structure and a size, right? Next scope, that is the human resource planning. In this point, every organization would be deciding upon the human resource planning. Every company would try to understand and evaluate how much human people, like how much human resource, how big human resource we required in our own organization, how big, what would be the size of the human resource. So they would be planning and plotting about the human resource planning. And next scope, that is the recruitment and selection process. A smart sales manager, a smart sales head they exactly know about how much to recruit and how to recruit and to whom to recruit. They would be focusing on the recruitment and selection process. Sales management, yes, the sales management does involve the scope of this recruitment and the selection process. And next point, that is the setting Salesforce objective. So once in our company, the Salesforce has been hired, they have been recruited and selected successfully. The sales head now, the sales department now would be setting the Salesforce objective for each and every sales member. For each and every sales personnel, I would say, they would be setting the objectives for the same. What task to be provided and how that salesperson would be achieving that task, how he would be completing that task. So yes, the setting Salesforce objective is one of the scope of the sales management. Next step, motivation of the sales force. And next is the how the sales head would be motivating his team. He has already given the task to the sales manager. A proper motivation scheme has to be accomplished. A proper motivation has to be provided to their sales force so that they can work in an efficient and an effective manner. The sales manager has to guide, the sales manager has to direct and motivate his sales team further. Next is the compensation of the sales force, that deciding the salaries, deciding the pay packages of the sales force is comprises under the scope of sales management. So here we are done with the scope of sales management. I hope you are clear with the aspects that it would be including sales planning, policies, their forecasting, the sales budgeting, designing the sales organization structure and its appropriate size, human resource planning, recruitment and selection, setting sales force objectives, motivating the sales force, and then the compensation of the sales force. Next, we'll be studying and discussing about the sales strategies. So if we talk about the term strategy, this word strategy is actually derived from the Greek word that is strategos, which actually means the art of journal. Let's talk about the strategy related to the sales word. So these sales strategies are actually the comprehensive, broad and integrated plans which are actually designed to achieve the sales objective which has been set by the firm itself. As we all know that the sales strategies are the part of the marketing strategies itself, and these marketing strategies are the further part of the corporate strategies. So sales strategies are the broad and integrated plans designed to achieve the sales objectives. So as we discussed, it has been derived marketing strategies which are in turn derived from the corporate strategies. It actually relates mainly to the sales force strategies. Whatever strategies and techniques we are developing, we are designing to ultimately develop our sales force so they can easily achieve the objectives of the sales, so that they can easily achieve their targets effectively and efficiently. So these sales strategies are designed mainly to the sales force strategies. They are related to the sales force strategies, I would say. They are actually meant to guide the sales managers and the salesperson so that they can effectively and efficiently achieve their targets. Now let's discuss how these strategies been formulated, how we have actually, the companies formulate their strategy. So in number one stage of strategy formulation is the assessment of competitive situation and the corporate goals, wherein the sales head, the sales department would try to understand, would try to do the competitive analysis and market analysis. He would try to understand about the market trends and the competitors situations, and would also relate it to the corporate goals. So in stage 1, the major focus of the sales department is to assess the competitive situations, what the competitors are doing, and then again relating it to the corporate goals. In next stage 2 of the strategy formulation would be the setting sales objective. So once the sales managers are done with the assessment of the competitive situations or the corporate goals, next he would try to set the sales objective. In this, the sales head would try to define like what would be the budget, what would be the volume of business to be generated in this particular year. So accordingly, he would try to set the sales objective. He would try to assign the task for each and every sales manager. How much a sales manager has to generate the business from this particular locations. So in stage 2, the major focus is to set the sales objective. Let's come to the stage 3, wherein The determination would be for the type of sales force needed. So every organization do have their different sales activities. For an example, if we talk about an organization does have variety of sales job. So it can be, the technical sales support, the business development manager, or the sales customer manager, right? So the third step would be determining the type of sales force needed, the type of salesperson required for accomplishing or for doing that particular sales task. Right. So now we are done with the stage 1, that is the assessment of competitive situation, and then correlating it with the corporate goals. In stage 2, we understood about these are objectives set by the top management of the company. In stage 3, this company has already determined about the type of sales force they required. Now in stage 4, they would try to understand, they would actually be determining of the size of sales force required. So once they are understood that this kind of sales people, these quality sales people we required for doing this particular task, they would now determine in what size this sales force is required, in what size the sales force is required, how many members, how many people are required to accomplish this particular task. For an example, if we talk about the business development manager, for example, let's take a company like Hero Group. Hero Group, we are having a business development managers. So for accomplishing their two-wheeler scooty target that they want to generate business by selling this two-wheeler scooty, they required 4 people, 4 sales manager for the North as a location. They required 4 area sales managers for the North as a location. So now they are clear. They are now having that understanding that this is the size of the sales force we would be requiring for accomplishing of this particular task. Now let's discuss about the stage 5, that is the organizing the sales efforts, territory design. What does the mean? By this word territory we mean the location to be covered, the location from where the business has to be generated. So in step 5, the company would try to organize the sales efforts of their salesperson. They would be assigning the territories to each and every of the sales manager. From there they have to generate the business. The volume of the business to be generated from that territory is also being defined at this stage 5. So wherein the company would be organizing the sales efforts of each and every salesperson by designing their territories, by assigning their territories, I would say. Next in stage 6, that is establishing and managing the channel support and coordination. So a sales manager is actually required. We have also discussed this point, sales management, in our points of roles of sales manager. A sales manager is actually responsible for establishing and managing the channel management, I would say. So the channel management can be the sales force management or the online business or their telemarketing. So in stage 6, the sales manager would be establishing and managing all the channels of the company and accordingly would be responsible for the coordination of between all these channels successfully. So with this, we are done with the strategy things. We have already discussed about the strategy formulations. So in this lecture, we have covered the sales objectives, skills and roles of the sales manager, scope of the sales manager, strategy, sales strategy, and how it is formulated. So with this, we are done with the lecture and I hope you all like this. Thank you so much.